Welcome, friends. Now, I am going to another chapter. This is about the cause of suffering. This is question number 11. And this the question number 11 to 19 are on the cause of suffering. The question on the cause of suffering, that means what is the root? What are the underlying mechanism? What are the kind of factors that will contribute to arising of the suffering? So the question is, so now the question number 11 is, what gives rise to suffering in the mind? Yeah. Simple question, but this question needs extremely deep mind to be able to see what gives rise to suffering. Yeah. So we are not talking about all this everyday notion like uh, death is suffering, pain is suffering, divorce is suffering, becoming poor is suffering. I'm not talking about this kind of suffering. Yeah, I am talking about suffering in the fundamental way, in an extremely subtle way. Where is the root? When you look at the complete start, the root of all the suffering, then there is a extremely subtle process. At the extreme depth of the mind, there are certain processes in play. There are certain factors, certain phenomena that contribute to this suffering in mind. Now, what is this mind then? And we have not uh, detailed. Mind is mind is like a platform. Mind is like a Buddha calls is a base. It's an ayatana. Yeah. Uh, there are 6 bases, as you know: eye base, uh, ear and eye and form base, ear and sound. Then we have a tangibles and body, and taste and tongue base. Then you got a nose and odor base, and mind and phenomena, mental phenomena, mental fabrication. So mind is a base, and phenomena are the fabrication of mind. Yeah. So these I do talk quite a lot about this phenomena. And what are those phenomena? These are feeling, perception, intention, contact, attention, craving. Then we have got the existence and so on, and birth, death. These are all phenomena. Yeah. So now, if you have just listened to what I said, feeling, perception, birth, and death, these are all phenomena. That means there is no difference between feeling and death. Yeah. So if you can stop feeling from arising, then you can stop death from arising. You see, this is the beauty. This is the very, very deep point in Buddha's teaching, is that these phenomena, the root of all these phenomena, they are such a long, extremely pervasive, it's extremely universal chain, that this this feeling is supporting perception. Perception is supporting, uh, let's say, consciousness. Consciousness is supporting craving. Craving is supporting clinging. Clinging is supporting existence, the reward process, and existence is supporting the birth, the process of getting reborn. And the process of being reborn is supporting the process of dying. Yeah. So these are all related. It's one kind of, let's say, one fabric. That means if you can influence one particular process of feeling, you have made a full stop to death. Yeah. So that means if you have found a way of prevent this feeling from arising, prevent this phenomena from from your from your practice, how to stop this feeling from arising, then it will stop all these processes. It will stop birth, it will stop death, it will stop uh, all these future processes. They will completely terminate. That's it. No more suffering. Yeah. And that is the so that is what gives rise to suffering, is that suffering is not one particular, say, suffering. There is no such thing called suffering. You need to unravel what is inside this package of suffering. And when you open the suffering and you break it down into all these phenomena, when you are talking about suffering, are you talking about the feeling? Are you talking about the perception? Are you talking about the consciousness? Are you talking about the birth? Are you talking about the death? Yeah. Which one? Yeah. So if somebody says, I am suffering, you need to ask, what do you mean by suffering? Are you suffering? Are you feeling? Are you perceiving? What is inside that suffering? You see? So this suffering is just a package, it's a bundle. Yeah. So and I gave a little very simple experiment. Now we have a very simple experiment. So and I in my previous video I gave an example. Say you have got a very heavy, let's say one uh, a, a bundle with extremely heavy stuff. Yeah. Which is keeping which is which is bundled together with heavy metals and all these sort of things, and uh, let's say some wood or clay, concrete and that sort of things, in extremely heavy, and you put on the other side nothing there, just an empty air, empty space. Which one is you think is the which one you will feel heavy, you will feel, where do you find more burden, on this side or this side? Obviously, being free of burden is being free of suffering. Yeah. So how does the mind become burdened? If you in your mind you got a feeling, you got perception, you got the intention, you got contact, you got imagination, you got a thoughts, you got formations, you got a consciousness. If you imagine the mind with all this sort of bundle of phenomena, and mind without any phenomena at all, which one is the happier state? You see, this one is obviously has got all this suffering. This one doesn't have any suffering. So how then you can see the lightness, you can see the state of emptiness, the state of freedom of being devoid of all these phenomena. So that is where We are. We are definitely not on the state. We are not free of all these phenomena, and we are extremely burdened with this phenomena. And now we need to realize being bundled with, being burdened with phenomena is a suffering. We need to realize that. If we don't know, if we say that this feeling is happiness, this perception is happiness, this body is happiness, this consciousness is happiness, this intention is happiness, then good luck. Yeah, you will never be free of suffering. Yeah. So there are tendency of certain philosophies, certain ideologies to take those phenomena and make them as some sort of make some lofty imaginations and creative ideas to make those concept and idea and think of that very very and make those sort of things to be in a super normal state or some sort of divine state. But if you know the truth, if you can see the process, then you definitely would like to be free of this phenomena. These are all burdens. These are all heavy. They will drag your mind down. Yeah, these concepts, these phenomena will forever trap us in this samsara, in this chain of uh, bondage. Never be free of being liberated from this phenomena again. So being trapped in this body and mind is suffering. Yeah. So that is the state, the free mind that is free from all thoughts, perception, feeling, consciousness, even imagination is a bliss of freedom, and that is also deathless. I mentioned that it is deathless because death is also one of those phenomena. It is deathless, it is a birthless, there is no birth, and it is a conceptless. There is no concept, there is no construction of imagination. It is empty. It is free of all this imagination, which are these imagination. I do have to remind again, these imaginations are very, very, these imagination are very slippery, very, very illusory, and they are deceptive. Yeah. So imagining any kind of thoughts, any kind of ideas will always keep us in a trap that we imagine happiness, and this image as the process of imagining happiness is a very trap that will give us the opposite of happiness. Yeah. And this cycle will, and there is no end. Yeah, this is how do you get free of this imagination, and that kind of a process of being free of imagination. What happens is that there are various ideas and philosophies. They claim imagination, they claim philosophies, they imagine, but they have not directly seen how to be free of this phenomena. Yeah. So Buddha did not teach philosophy. Buddha did not teach all these kind of false ideas and imagination. Yeah. And Buddhism did not teach any kind of, it did not sell any kind of ideas and that sort of a false hope to his disciple. Yeah. So there are many teachers who give very they give that kind of false hope to their students that oh, if you practice this in the way I'm showing you, you will be enlightened, you will be free. And there are many teachers all over the world. They do kind of a yeah. It's really I do see this as extremely prolific and very um, prevalent all over the world. These kind of teachers are basically uh, destroying the life of these very simple folks. They are using their time and effort for their own enjoyment. They are abusing those gullible and very simple, those people who want to be free from suffering, because they are extremely faithful and they are very honest, and they do follow the teacher down to the last command. And those teachers are they do abuse those students. And these teachers do not show the direct path. This is how you test it. This is the freedom. They don't show it. They only show it that, oh, you need to wait 20 years, and after 20 years, and you have to do another 20 years, and that's it. You have finished your life. You have completely wasted your many years serving that teacher, and they say you know you need to do you need to bring me 200 more followers. Only after then I will teach you. And once you have done this, then I will lift you in a rank. All this sort of. So I highly recommend, if anybody is going into that kind of thinking, into that kind of path, be extremely careful and see for yourself. Yeah, because this kind of teachings, this kind of false hopes and abuse is rampant, particularly in Asian countries, because the shall I say, due to lack of inquiry, because of due to lack of uh, research, lack of questioning, lack of self investigation, these students, they follow these teachers blindly. And that kind of blind faith, that kind of blind following is only going to lead to pain and suffering. It will be too late by the time they spend years of tens of years, and they are still wondering why they are not getting any hint of improvement in their life, why they are still servicing, and they are serving all these teachers, but they are not getting anything. So this kind of things, Buddha did not teach this kind of servitude, this kind of abuse system to his disciples. Buddha gave a recipe. Here you go. This is the path. You follow this path and you see for yourself. This is how the mind becomes heavy, burdened with all these phenomena. And when you do practice, when you release and relax, re-smile, the 6R process, you will directly able to see this is the suffering and this is the freedom from suffering. You will arrive from this state to this state through your own practice. So when you have seen this for yourself, do you need to ask your teacher, is this correct or not? You don't need to. Even if your teacher say, oh, this is no wrong, you have got every right to say to that teacher. You can say whatever you like, but you cannot change what I saw. This is how the mind works. Yeah. So that is what the Buddha left, is that Buddha showed the way. This is how you practice, and it has been tested and tested by millions of people, millions of disciples, that it works to the down to the last detail. Yeah. So this is the path, this is the practice that the Buddha left. Yeah. Which actually is this teaching of the Buddha is about to go extinct. It will disappear very soon. And once it becomes extinct, then this universe, this world will have to wait another trillions of years for another Buddha to arrive in this earth. Yeah. So Buddha said that when the Buddha remembered his past life, he went to see in his he recollected his many past lives, and he recollected 98 Mahakalpa. That means 98 contraction and dissolution of the universe. Yeah. So if you think about the number of human years, one Mahakalpa is roughly about trillion years. Yeah. So we are talking about 98 trillion years. That is how many years the Buddha looked into his own past life. And in these 98 Mahakalpas, the Buddha, the Sakyamuni Buddha, he found only 6 Buddhas in 98 Mahakalpas. So Buddha says there was, in the first 98 Mahakalpa before, there was a Vipassi Buddha, then another Buddha called uh, Sikhi Buddha, then Konagamana Buddha, Kakusan Konagamana, Kasyapa Buddha, and then uh, Sakyamuni Buddha. So there were only 6 Buddhas in 98 Mahakalpa, 98 trillion years, and only 6 Buddhas. So once this teaching of this Buddha, that, let's say, and is already disappearing very quickly. Now you can see there are many teachings that are distorting, that are mixing and matching. They are mixing all these let's say culture of worshipping, culture of all these sort of various tantric practices, various all these kind of mantras and that sort of things, which are only rituals and that sort of traditional things. You don't need all this sort of very fancy, all these practices. These are not the way to purify your mind. Let's be honest. Yeah. By doing all this sort of all these sort of fancy practices, they will not purify your mind. And the Buddha said, if you don't purify your mind, how can you be free from suffering? Because this suffering is due to the mind not being pure, the mind becoming heavy because of all this sort of fabrication, all these phenomena. They are making your mind polluted, heavy, burdensome, and you want to be free of suffering, by keeping this heavy mind, very, very impure and unpolluted mind, by praying, doing that sort of chanting, that sort of a very, very different, all these sort of things, and you wish to find the freedom from suffering by these sort of things, these the kind of practices will not purify your mind. You don't need anybody, you don't need Einstein or somebody genius to prove that you can be free of suffering by without purifying your mind. You cannot. It's simply there is no way, yeah, that you must purify your mind. Otherwise, you cannot be free of suffering. That's full stop, yeah. So this is the why the suffering do arises when the mind is impure, when the mind is heavy, when the mind is burdened by all these sort of external concepts, ideas, fabrication, phenomena. Yeah, those phenomena, they will clutter your mind, they will start to vibrate, they will shake your mind, they will make your mind heavy. So, suffering is a process, and I do mention uh, there is a suffering. I did mention about this. Let's say there is a mind, and there are many phenomena, and these phenomena are like extremely shaky and vibratory experiences that are cluttering the mind. And the what the Buddha found was that these vibration, these clutters, they will become agitated, they will become because your attention, your reaction, your engagement, because you paid attention to, you nourished them, you flourished them, and you thought that I am this feeling, I am this perception, I am this thought, I am this mind, I am this consciousness, I am this concept, and so on. Whenever you have that kind of ideation that I am this, all these phenomena, then here you go, you become part of that process, and that whole suffering will grow, it will become infinitely bigger, it will not subside. You can only prolong that, you can only make that suffering bigger and bigger by saying, I am this feeling, I am this perception, I am this body, I am this feeling, I am this consciousness, and so on. Yeah. So that is only going to increase the suffering. That there is no way that by having that sort of identification, by imagination, you will be free of suffering, because you are making your mind heavier and heavier by that sort of tagging, by that kind of a identification. So what the Buddha said was, if you identify with the phenomena, if you say I am that, then you are that, and you are feeling, your perception, your consciousness, and the feeling has got a pain, it has got a pleasure, it has got a reaction, it has got all sort of death, birth, everything in that. All the suffering is embedded in there. So would you like to be embedded and immersed in that suffering, or you want to abandon them, completely be free, and find a sort of burdenless state, complete freedom? So that is the choice we have. And that is how now Buddha calls this as a tangle. It's a loop. It's like you have found a mess. You are in such a mess that there is no way out. It just becomes. Have you ever found a maze or some kind of labyrinth? where you enter and you are stuck completely. You have no way of finding the way out. This is the state of the world. This is the state of all this imagination. This is the state of all this concept. And you better find this fact and be identified. You better know this truth that these phenomena are not happiness. These are suffering. Yeah. So diving into the sort of never-ending uh, tangle of this phenomena, it will never liberate your mind, never will find you freedom. Yeah. So that is why this is this suffering is extremely difficult to get out. Yeah, it's like a Chakravyuh. Yeah? You might in India, in Nepal, there is such a game, or shall I say, a strategy called Chakravyuh. This world, this phenomena is there is a way in, and you can never get out, and you can only get out by this path of the Noble Eightfold Path. That is the only way out of this tangle. That is the process of being free. Yeah. So it's not easy. I mean, that is why, there are only six Buddhas. They found a way out of the suffering. So I didn't want to talk about other kind of philosophies. As far as I know, only the Buddhas find a way out of suffering. No other philosophies, no other kind of thoughts and those deities, all these things. They have no clue about what is suffering. If they have no clue about the suffering, how can they find a way out? Yeah. So it is just a wishful thinking. It's just wishful thinking that they can claim all this kind of fabrication. They can think of many imagination, but there's no, if they don't know what is this thing called suffering, then how can they free us from suffering? How? It simply doesn't make sense. Yeah, they have no clue what is suffering. So, and what the that 98 Mahakalpa is just such an unimaginable long time. Yeah. And Buddhas can remember past life to the infinity. But why bother? Yeah, why do we need to go thousands of millions of Mahakalpa? Because it is such a rare event that those Buddhas do appear in this world extremely rarely. Yeah. So that is that and what this shows is that and Buddha said this in many suttas that to if you want to trace when or where this suffering started, if you have got a very curious mind, like the scientist today, they want to find the origin of everything. Yeah, so these scientists are finding. They found what is the atoms. They found what is molecules. They found what is gene. They found what is DNA. And these scientists do think that they can find everything. And they are after where is the end of this universe? Where does space, where is the space and where is the time starts and where does it end? And Buddha said this kind of mind, this kind of effort is a waste of time. It is a complete lack of let's say, a peace in somebody's mind, those people are agitated, they are confused, and they are completely spending their life in unnecessary, completely futile effort to find something for which it's like a banging your head against the wall. Yeah. Buddha says that you can look back in your past for trillions of Mahakalpa, and you still not cannot trace when the suffering started. Even the Buddha couldn't find when he was, when he was started to become suffering from his all his birth and death. Yeah. So even the Buddha could not find when the suffering started. Now, what can you say about us? Yeah. We cannot even remember our 10 days before what did we eat for our lunch. How can we, remember the, 10,000 past life? It's simply, it's simply, we should not be wasting our time when the suffering started. And what the Buddha said, that is a no-go. It is it is an area of complete, uh, uh, it is there is no answer that can be found going to the past. There is no way. But what you can definitely make a conclusion is when the suffering has ended and when you have been able to see your suffering has reduced. This is something you can see for yourself, you can taste it directly, and you can definitely know for yourself. This suffering has ended for good. I am now free from suffering. So, this is what the Buddha said categorically. You can definitely say this suffering has gone for good. And Buddha says, yes, I know for sure. I have seen all the suffering, how they come to reduce by bit by bit by bit by bit. It is extinguished. That suffering is no more. That fire has extinguished. That means this fire cannot pick up another fire. That's it. It has extinguished. Once the fire has gone, it's gone for good. Yeah. So we can definitely put an end to the suffering. And there is a definite path and practice to make such a claim. Yeah. And anybody who has done this practice can know for sure this suffering has ended for good. That means if you are nearing your end of your life, say you are living 70, 80, 90 years, you know this body is not gonna last for another 200 years. But you will know for sure that this is just a body. This body, there is no way this body will remain for another 200 years. But that's not the point. This body dies, so that's fine. But at least you got a mind that is free from all these tangles, all these phenomena, including the death. Yeah, so that means you have put an end to the process of death itself. That means you have stopped the ignorance, the process. You have seen the process. That means you know the process. That means you have stopped the ignorance. That now you are no more confused. You know how this process arises. That means once you know this ignorance has been stopped, you know this not not being ignorant, seeing the process coming, and how this can be stopped. You have seen it by abandoning, by relaxing, by not paying any attention to all these distractions. You have seen this, this suffering has shrunk. It becomes from this big, this, it becomes smaller and smaller, and it disappeared. All this phenomena that was vibrating and shaking, it becomes smaller and smaller, smaller, it's gone. At that point, your feeling, your perception, your contact, your attention, they also disappear. And that is how you know, since you have managed the feeling, perception, contact, they have disappeared, that means they have been abandoned, then that craving, the clinging, the existence, birth, death will no more arise because you have made a stop on that. That process has terminated. You have prevented the birth and death from ever arising. So that means these phenomena will never arise. So that means that suffering is gone for good. Yeah. So you will never have to worry about, will I die from cancer? Will this house roof fall from the top and I will be perished? Will somebody shoot and kill this body? Or you are worried about kind of on a bomb coming from the atomic bomb coming from some other countries to be obliterated. We have so much of dangers and debacles. Yeah, this Earth might be hit by asteroid, or it can collide with another, as many things, cosmic explosions, these sort of things. Anything, our life can end anytime. Yeah, this life is very fragile, and it is extremely, you know weak. We have no control over this life, and to find that kind of freedom, that no matter what happens, we don't need to be worried about this life and death and all this sort of phenomena. Nothing is going to be impacting you. There's no way this phenomena will have any impact on this mind that is freed from all this phenomena. So that is the freedom frame in every sense. So that is where the suffering comes to complete end. So now I mentioned about the suffering. So, and I said that trying to trace the root of all where they arise, it is a futile. Yeah. So I give you an example of chicken and egg. Now we can see there is chicken, and that chicken must have come from an egg. Yeah. And that egg must have come from a chicken. Yeah. So where that process, which one came first, chicken or egg? We have got a very vivid, simple example to show that there is no end, no kind of no way to find out which one came first, chicken or egg. It's exactly the same problem. Where this suffering began, we cannot trace that root. Yeah. But what we can know for sure is that when this suffering can be ended and has been ended for good. And that is something we can directly see when you are in this deep, and when you don't need much, just practice. I've got a video on how to do this mindfulness of loving kindness with 6R, or what I call it 4Rs. There's a whole 1 hour long video. It's in Nepali. So obviously there are videos in English in my YouTube channel as well. So if you can practice and follow this path, keep your mind in a loving kindness, something in a very happy, wholesome state of mind. And whenever a sort of distraction arises, if your mind's attention goes into the unwholesome state, something outside of your object of wholesome state, the loving kindness, you you notice that the mind has distracted, and you mindfully allow that process to be, not pay attention to that, release that distraction to that, your mind going to latch into a distraction, release that, relax that, re-smile, and come back to your meditation object. If you do that for a few days, doesn't take long, then you know this the suffering, the all this agitated mind, how this agitated mind become, when you know this mind was so shaky, so vibrating, so much of restless, and within a matter of few days, you know this mind has, after so much of agitation, it has become very, very tranquil and ease, and in a very calm state of mind. You know that all these distractions were because of our undue attention to those phenomena. Yeah. And when you are paying attention to the loving kindness and abandoning all these sort of phenomena, not by not paying attention to, then you can directly see that all this agitation, all this wobble of mind can actually become smaller and smaller and smaller. It becomes almost nothing. Just tiny wobble remains, but your mind still stays with your feeling of loving kindness. Yeah. That is how you know that suffering is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller. And you know the process is, the suffering arises due to your involvement, because of your attention, because of your reaction, because of your undue imagination. Yeah. So you have to abandon, you have to let go of all the sort of undue attention and unnecessary mind uh, trying to make story out of, and trying to imagine. When you have relaxed that and did a 6 hour, you will find that sort of a moment of peace, a spacious mind, a very bright mind, very, very comfortable mind, and very, very, uh, let's say, if you have seen this process, this is called jhana. This jhana is that it's like you were struggling with so much of hindrances, restlessness, and you managed to gently just relax and 6 hour and keep your mind on a wholesome. All of a sudden, all these distractions fade away. They will just evaporate. When these distractions have been evaporated, your suffering is, all of a sudden, you know for sure that there is mind at ease, mind is free, mind is free from all these sort of distracting phenomena. So that is a state of freedom from suffering. Not the complete freedom, but freedom from hindering those grosser obsessive mind, which is the grossest type of suffering. Yeah. And you continue your practice, and you will find even more refined states. So that process is going to take some time, but you know, when you have gone through this process, I am in the right track. I know for sure this is the right path, and I know if I continue to practice, I will get to the end of suffering. So this is how you know this how the suffering arises, and how suffering is let go, and you tested yourself, they have been abandoned. Yeah. So that is the how we personally, and for the first time, you don't need anybody telling you They can, nobody will be able to steal that from you because you have directly experienced that. Your teacher cannot, cancel that experience because it is your experience. It is you have seen it. Yeah. So that is how we don't need to rely on anybody with any teacher. We don't need anybody to uh, challenge ourselves. We don't need to. We don't need anybody teaching us what the mind and how the mind works. So I would like to stop here because there are many other topics that are connected. But for the sake of answering just this question, I hope that I have made the point clear to you. So we can. I will cover the related topics in the future discussion. Thank you.